Kamikaze attack on the Battle of Missouri is one of our cornerstone stories here at the ship. On April 11, 1945, we were attacked by multiple kamikaze planes, and one of the planes actually hit our ship. We have a very famous photo of the plane literally a split second before it impacted the starboard side of the Missouri. During World War II, very few pleasantries were exchanged between the forces of Japan and the United States, let alone gestures like properly burying their dead immediately after attack. For us, this is a unique story to our ship and a unique story in the general sense of World War II in the Pacific. So in our Kamikaze exhibit, you're going to see objects never seen before outside of Japan in partnership with the Chiran Peace Museum in Minami, Kyushu. This has been very helpful for us as part of that peace and reconciliation message that both of our organizations share. One of the most striking features of our Kamikaze exhibit are the farewell letters from these pilots. Before their last mission, they wrote a final letter to their families and friends. And the sentiments in these letters are very sad, very poignant, but also very universal and identifiable for all of our guests. This is very important for us to be part of that effort to not only educate our guests about who these kamikaze pilots were, so we can tell both sides of that World War II story, but also continue to further that message of reconciliation. This story really didn't get a lot of attention until we opened as a museum ship, because April 11, 1945, the day of the attack, and then April 12, 1945, the day of the burial, was overshadowed by some very sad news. April 12, 1945 was the day that President Franklin Delano Roosevelt passed away. Also, this attack happened in the midst of the Battle of Okinawa, which was one of the most bloodiest conflicts in Pacific theater.
Okinawa was just horrible. There were more sailors killed in Okinawa than any place else through kamikaze attacks. There was 5,000 sailors, personnel, killed in the Navy due to kamikaze attacks. The kamikaze that hit us, that plane came in and it was coming in very low, and that was on the starboard side. Some of the guns couldn't depress far enough down to stop that plane from coming in. And when he hit, the pilot rolled out on the deck. Being on the port side, we felt the ship shake, and I could see the smoke coming up. All chaos was going on there. It was just terrible. The next day, we buried the pilot at sea with full military honors, which none of us liked that.
The decision to give the pilot a proper burial at sea really shows how strong the character of Captain Callahan was. He had already lost his brother in the Battle of Guadalcanal early on in the war. So it's very understandable if he had some resentment towards the Japanese. But in this particular case, he wanted to do the right thing and give this pilot a proper burial. Many of the crew in their later years did express that while they did disagree with the treatment of the pilot's body, in hindsight they realized that actually it was the right thing to do. This story is one of the stories we tell every day on our guided tour because it was a rare instance.
So, the burial was held the following day, right this area. That's why we have several footprints on the deck. Those are the actual location this took place. At the side of the ship's chaplain and 6 casket bearers holding the board put the pilot's body on top. His body was covered with the makeshift rising sun Japanese flag that had been patched together the night before by 3 signal corpsmen, and they commit the body to the ocean. Many decades later of this event, pilot was identified. His name was Setsuo Ishino, Petty Officer 2nd Class. He was 19 years old. And you can still take a look at the dent on the side of the ship.
Last year, 2 fuel gauges from the plane were donated to our collection by the family of one of our crew members, Richard Gordon Young. I think that those pieces are very interesting because there's a very clear sense of place from where they were on the plane, and those fuel gauges make it very easy to envision what everything looked like.
Anytime we receive an object directly from a crew member or their family, it's a very special moment for us. Obviously, these folks have held on to it for 8 decades, so it's actually a very special part of their family's history. We also recently had a donation of a piece of the pilot's scarf that was taken by pharmacist mate Ivan Dexter, who was also one of the pallbearers during the burial at sea ceremony on April 12, 1945. All the artifacts in our collection are treasures to us, and it's our responsibility to make sure that they're not only preserved but also presented in a respectful way. One object that stands out to me the most is a piece of wreckage that has a bullet hole in it. That particular piece really shows what type of a situation that plane was going into. The Missouri and all the ships in the fleet were basically firing at this plane and this pilot. And somehow we made its way through to a point where we actually hit our ship. And to see a piece with a bullet hole in it really is kind of an imprint of that dramatic moment in the war. The 80th anniversary of the attack is actually a very important milestone for us because it tells about compassion and also lends to our story of peace and reconciliation with Japan 80 years after the attack happened. Telling this story carries a heavy burden for me as curator. We need to do honor to both sides, our crew who fought for our country and to these young pilots who are sacrificing their lives for their country as well. For us, we need to be able to tell that story in a balanced way, but also in a way that educates our guests about things they may not know about, but also sharing a lot of personal stories that are relatable to everyone.
The captain did the right thing and gave him a burial at sea.